Hello students. Today we are going to start with the 7th chapter of our class 9th Science NCERT textbook, that is Diversity in Living Organisms. Now, have you ever thought of the multitude of life forms that surround us? Each organism is different from other to a lesser or greater extent, right? For instance, consider yourself and your friend. Are you both of the same height? Does your nose look exactly like your friend's nose? Is your hand span the same as your friend's? However, if we were to compare ourselves and our friends with a monkey, what would we say? Obviously, we and our friends have a lot in common when we compare ourselves with a monkey. But suppose we were to add a cow to the comparison. We would then think that the monkey has a lot more in common with us than with a cow. If we compare ourselves with a monkey, then we have a lot more things common with them. But if we compare ourselves with a cow, then we are totally different from cows. So, now think of all the different forms in which life occurs on earth. On one hand, we have microscopic bacteria, a few micrometer in size, while on the other hand, we have blue whale and redwood trees of California of approximate sizes of 30 meters and 100 meters respectively. Some pine trees live for thousands of years, while some insects like mosquitoes die within a few days. Life also ranges from colorless or even transparent worms to brightly colored birds and flowers, right? This bewildering variety of life around us has evolved on the earth over millions of years. However, we do not have more than a tiny fraction of this time to try and understand all these living organisms. So we cannot look at them one by one. Instead of that, we look for similarities among the organisms, which allow us to put them into different classes and then study different classes or groups as a whole. We can't study each and every single organism in this universe. So, what will we do? We will look for the similarities of all the organisms. Then the number of organisms which possess one such similarity will be classified into a group. So this way they are classified into different classes, and we will study these classes or groups and as a whole. So, in order to make relevant groups to study the variety of life forms, we need to decide which characteristics decide more fundamental differences among organisms. That we have to decide that which characteristics are the more gives the more fundamental differences, which classify them into different groups. This would create the main broad groups of organisms, and within these groups smaller subgroups will be decided. Within these bigger groups, larger groups, smaller subgroups will be also decided by less important characteristics. So, the topics which we are going to cover in this chapter are introduction of the chapter, which we did just now, taxonomy and binomial nomenclature, classification system, hierarchy of classification, basic characteristics of five kingdoms. So, as I told you, we see a lot of organisms around us, and each organism is unique in its sense. So, this is called as biodiversity. Now, what is biodiversity? Biodiversity refers to the varied life forms of living beings. The variety of life forms of living beings which differ from one another in external appearance, size, color, pattern, internal structure, nutrition, etc. It is termed as biodiversity. Now, Causes of biodiversity. In the world there are 12 mega biodiverse countries, right? And these countries are divided into 10 biogeographical regions. So this is the causes of biodiversity. And the variety of physical features, climatic condition result in the occurrence of a wide variety of habitats like forests, etc. And this leads to the occurrence of varied life forms. This because there are variety of physical features, climatic conditions are there, which results in the occurrence of variety of habitats like forest, etc. And that's why we have varied life forms. So this was the introduction part of the chapter. That's all for today's class. In the next class we will go in the detailed study of classification. Thank you and have a great